I know that you did your PhD is mostly talking about entrepreneur and working with them and how they manage their business.
Yep.
As part of your PhD. What are the common mistake when an artist wants to start a business that you see?
I think one of the main barriers that artists tends to face, based on my research as well, is two main things: the artistic innovation and the level of sort of happiness that they get, like the happiness index that they're getting from from this endeavor that they're taking. Because going into entrepreneurship to me feels more like an effort of scaling your hobby into making it a sustainable living. Because at the end of the day, you are finding ways on making this work, making this like a full-time thing. And it's not just full-time waiting for sponsorships and waiting for grants. It's full-time finding ways on how do you actually put your effort into making it a sustainable income, right? So the artistic innovation part is always straddling on the fact that do they stick true to their art form and not change their process, because that's what gives them their supposed perfect creative output, which honestly I don't believe that exists, by the way. that does not exist, right? Don't have a perfect art piece. Finding a way to balance that between what the client is looking for and staying true to your art form. And then the happiness index part always falls in to say that you give the person money and they're happy. But from my research that I did, that's really not the case. There are many factors that determine this happiness. And the major boundary faced in achieving these two things, the innovation and the happiness index, is financial literacy. That I know it's kind of like a no-brainer, right? Artists are known to not be able to handle money, allergic to do it, and all that kind of fucking bullshit. I don't know, man.
At the end of the day, they kind of forgot that it is still a business.
Yep, it is. And entrepreneurs don't necessarily have to open a company as Sendirian Berhad, go to SSM and whatnot. Even freelance artists also are categorized under the artpreneur category as well. How do they enterprise themselves? Not by scaling the business, but by scaling themselves. So they invest in themselves. They make sure that they have a good understanding of how quickly you need to do your quote and your invoice. Understanding when someone asks you to quote for a job, right? You can immediately break down in your head to see, not break down. I mean, calculatively break down what you need to put as your line items, right? Basically, making sure that how many hours you're going to spend, what are the materials you're going to use. You kind of need to know this and the get-go.
Yep.
You cannot say that give me a week, I'm going to go do a business course on Coursera to learn how to do a freaking invoice, right? Can't do that shit, right? It's not going to work. So financial literacy lah. And a very good way to overcome this quickly is to find good partners. I have to be very honest, people who are even full-time economics students or has done accounting basically all their life still make some pretty rudimentary mistakes which can be catastrophic if not taken care of in time. So
what's more to someone who
doesn't have it, right?
Zero training in
Correct.
that, zero understanding of that.
You get a lot worse, right? So in essence, having a partner not only helps you to take care of the finance part without you needing to really learn it, you will learn it from your partner for sure. There's no way that your partner will do all the money and you just have no clue. You just do the job and then you get paid at the end of the month. Impossible. You would have to be involved in the element of the line items as well.
Yep.
But not only that, you actually have another eye to make sure that you are seeing everything from every angle. That's the pretty important part.
That's one thing I considered also when I started my own company, because I think I saw a video somewhere that said having your passion as work, it's still work. Okay, you need to understand this is still work. You are still doing business. It's not about your creative ego. It's not about I must do it like this. No, you still gotta work with people.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
You own your own company. You can do whatever you want within your own company, but you still gotta work with clients. You still gonna understand and talk to people, communicate.
Interesting you mentioned that, because I remember the last day when I was in Petronas before I left a day job to decide to jump into the entrepreneurship sea. My colleague who was trying to convince me not to leave actually told me, hey, what's the difference? You don't like working under this boss and stuff like that. When you work in business, every client is your boss. Other people and everyone is your boss as well.
But I can choose the boss.
These are the bosses that I can just flip off and tell them to fuck off.
Okay, no, I don't want. This is my limit. I don't want to do this.
Correct. So that's a very important mindset to establish, because why we go into entrepreneurship and why we go into artpreneurship and stuff like that has a very big part to do with not just being sustainable, but calling your own shots. I think I would be very foolish to not acknowledge that fact. That ego is good to keep. Artistic ego, it has its place and time. But your ego on deciding that like I am my person and I'm going to choose this path, and my mistakes and my liabilities and my responsibilities are mine own. And I don't have people who can just move me to different departments or move me to different parts of the world and I have no say and just karut ikut, you know? Yeah, it's kind of
a moment of silence for those
who have to go through
in that position. Still, thank you for watching. Okay, bye.
Moment of silence. Who's doing work right now?